Hello, I would like to share with y'all today some of the thoughts and feelings that I have of the changes that I would like to see made if I'm elected governor for 2028. Before I get started though, I'd like to say thank you to all the veterans who are serving and who have served to make our country free. And also thank you to all the family members who have veterans out who have served for your sacrifice as well. This evening I'm going to be talking some about our taxes and our jails and our prisons. For those of you who don't know, a lot of government dates for the years will go from July 1st to July 1st. That's why this statement here is ending in June 30th of 2022. This is how much money was spent for the West Virginia Regional Jail and Correctional Facilities is $45,809,901. That is a lot of money that is being spent just here in the state of West Virginia. Some of the information that I'm going to be sharing this evening is going to come from a blog from Sarah Whitaker. I would just like to state though that the feelings that I share from her blog does not mean that she supports or agrees with anything that I am saying. I am only using some information from her blog. If you would like to read her complete blog, you can go to this website here to read her complete blog. Throughout the 2023 legislative session, lawmakers spoke often about the ongoing state of emergency in West Virginia jails. But people behind bars have been living in a state of emergency for years. In the last decade, West Virginia jails had the highest death rate in the country, twice the national average. Last year, 12 people died in Southern Regional Jail alone. Then over a 2-week period at the beginning of this year, a dozen people incarcerated in one jail were hospitalized for suspected overdoses. It is clear that this state has failed to keep people in its custody safe. The thing that stuck out to me first is suspected overdoses. Just to let everyone know, I have worked at the Taggart Valley Regional Jail, so I do know that overdoses do happen in jails and prisons. This is the report of when that happened. This was published in January 24 of 2023. Going to read just a little bit about that. In Beaver, West Virginia, 3 inmates were taken for medical treatment after possible contraband was discovered at Southern Regional Jail on Tuesday. According to a spokesperson for the Department of Homeland Security, Andy Malinsky, contraband and a handmade weapon were found and seized during the course of their investigation. So by reading this statement, you can tell that people are arrested for crimes. When they enter the jails, the crimes are not stopping. This is something that we need to take care of. The incident follows another investigation in earlier January after 7 inmates appeared to overdose at the facility. You can see the full report on that if you go to this website here. I want to go back to this statement. It is clear that this state has failed to keep people in its custody safe. This is one of the things as governor of West Virginia that I will work to do, and I would like to share with you some of the ways that I would make our prisons and jails safe. Just a little analogy, if it's raining outside and you're sitting on your couch watching TV and water starts dripping on you, well, you know that you've got a leak. The only way to get the water to stop is to stop the leak. The only way to stop these things from happening in our jails in West Virginia and across the whole United States is to stop the leaks. Now, where do these leaks happen? The main smuggling routes for drugs into prisons are through visitors, mail, prisoners on reception, remand, or work release. staff, and perimeter overthrows, or perimeter throwovers. Drug smuggling routes into prisons differ between prisons depending on various contextual factors and security measures in place. So these are a lot of ways that drugs are getting into our prisons. The only way to stop this from happening is to stop the leaks. Visitors. Whenever you go to visit family members in jail or prisons, there are facilities that has person with person contacts. This is something that should stop. When I worked at Taggart Valley Regional Jail, when your family come to visit you, you visited through a glass. That is how every family visit should be in all jails and prisons. If you visit in this way, you will stop the drugs coming in from the facilities through visits. Mail. A lot of drug gets through into our prisons and jails through mail. If you stop the mail coming into the prisons, you stop drugs from coming into our prisons. Not saying that you stop the inmates from being able to send mail out to their family members, but they receive no kind of mail. If you want to visit your family members in jail, go see them in person, but it is through a glass. Prisoners on reception or remand. This is one way that you will not 100% stop drugs from getting into our facilities. I'm not going to get too in detail because of younger people may be watching this video. But for those of you who are older who know, when someone is arrested and brought into jail, they can hide drugs in some pretty creative places. So this is something I won't go in detail. Work releases. How many times do we drive by and see prisoners out mowing grass or picking up garbage along the interstates? If I was someone who was dealing drugs and I had a buddy in prison or a jail and I knew that they was working on a work release, all I got to do is throw drugs out where they're working, because they are not 100% supervising everything that they pick up. So they can be picking up drugs, bringing them back to the facility. Yes, they are supposed to be searched when they get back, but when workers and inmates build a relationship, sometimes their inspection is not as thorough as it needs to be, and things do get passed into the prisons. If we stop the work releases, then you stop drugs from getting into our prison or things that can be used to make weapons. Staff. There's staff who works in the prisons who think they need to make a little extra money through dealing drugs. This is something that should not happen. And for anyone who is working in a jail who does bring drugs into the prison should get a 20-year sentence, and then after they get out, should not be allowed to hold any type of job where they have any kind of authority. Make this a punishment for those, and you will stop a lot of staff from doing that, because a punishment is not worth a little extra money. Perimeter throwovers. This is where people from the outside are throwing drugs over the fence. When I worked up at Taggart Valley Regional Jail, they had a concrete wall and a concrete floor on the outside. Prisoners could go out to get some fresh air, get a little bit of sunlight. It would be very easy for a correctional officer to walk out, make sure nothing has been thrown in the area, let the inmate out, get some fresh air and some sun. They are not going to bring anything in. Drugs will be stopped if we are not letting them out in the grassy areas of our prisons and jails. Speaking of the inmates going out and working here, we have an inmate payroll. Inmates were paid $1,423,907. This is money being paid to the inmates for working. In my opinion, if you want a job, stay out of jail. This $1,423,907 could be used to pay the staff or be used for other things that the prisons need, not to be paying inmates to work. Just want to end with this picture here so that you all can see how many facilities are in the state of West Virginia that pertain to prison facilities, West Virginia regional jail facilities, juvenile facilities, youth reporting centers, West Virginia parole officers, community corrections. Our state is decorated with buildings that are for those who are not obeying the laws of the lands. This is going to continue to grow and continue to expand if we do not make our prisons more of a punishment rather than them being able to have all these things. And in some of my other videos, I'm going to show and share some of my other feelings about the things that they get in jail. We need to put a stop to the drugs going into our jails. Our jails are supposed to be a place of punishment, a place of rehabilitation for those who are in there. If we cannot stop the drugs from getting inside of our prisons, the rehabilitation part of it is not going to be effective, because we cannot help them get off of their addictions because they continue it. This is something that I want to work on as governor, to try to make these jails a place that people can overcome their addictions and not want to go to jail. Thank you for watching, and I hope that I have your support.